Hey everybody, it's Denise from All About the Oscars. How are you? Well, it's been a couple weeks since I intended to start my channel, and it's been a couple years since I've been thinking about starting my channel, but here we are again, so we're going to give this a shot. If I post the first couple of videos that I made, you will see that I ended up having to change my background. So when I was testing my new equipment and put up the background, which had the Oscar statue on it, it was wrinkled, it was driving me crazy. So I tried to wash and air dry and iron the background, and that was a disaster and it was destroyed. So anyway, moving on. So I got a new background and here we are again, a brand new day. So as I talk to you a little bit about the channel, I'm going to imagine that I am talking to several thousand subscribers, people who love the movies as much as I do. And I hope that we can really establish a strong community here. So I just want to talk a little bit today about what my ideas were for the channel. I've been thinking about doing this for a long time. I ended up really falling in love with the Oscar nomination and award process probably about 2011, I think it was. And the winner that year was a movie called The Artist. And I went and saw the movie with some friends. It was a weekend. We went and saw the movie on Saturday night before we grabbed sushi. And I left the movie thinking, wow, that was pretty extraordinary. In that day and age, to have a movie in a major theater getting all kinds of rave reviews that was not only black and white, but also a silent film. And it was absolutely incredible. And I thought a lot about that movie in the weeks to follow. And I tuned into the Oscars that year, and I was really excited to see the film win. And that's kind of what sent me on my Oscar journey and brings us to where we are today. So I essentially call what we're moving into, because it's now just rolling into November, I call this Oscar season. And this is when you'll see all of the Oscar contending films start to come out in the fall and in the early part of winter. And these 2019 year movies will be awarded in February for this next upcoming Oscar season. And I watch every single movie in every category. And the way that I do that is I really kind of start watching early on in the process when I hear some Oscar buzz about some great films, a great performance, and I start to watch them, and then the official nominations come out. And that's when I start really going into full-on movie mode. So I do have an idea rolling into this year, as I'm just starting a new Oscar season, is I'm going to keep track of how much time and money I spend watching these Oscar films, because I not only watch the films that are being nominated for Best Picture, but also Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Documentary Short, Original Song, Live Action Short Film. What am I missing? Original Score, Costume Design, Documentary Feature, Director. So I brought with me, and I only could find 2 years. I just was quickly looking through my office. So I have last year, which was the 2019 awards, and then I also have the 2018 from the previous year. So I have these, at least I hope I didn't lose them, starting in 2012. And I make notes and start to highlight all the films that I saw. I start making notes about where I can actually see it. So from 2018, just to give you an idea, Baby Driver was nominated for film editing and is having a hard time finding it. So I made a note on here that I'd be able to watch that movie at iTunes, because I didn't catch it in the movie theater, if it wasn't even in the movie theater. And then I started choosing what I thought would win each category. But then I started to realize that there are a lot of politics and other things that play into who will probably win. So I now make 2 guesses. I choose who I would choose to win, who I think should win based on the category. And then I also choose who I think the Academy will win. So all of the members of the Academy have a vote. And sometimes I think the winner is maybe not. Well, I know that sometimes the winners that they choose are not who I would choose. Not that I'm an expert, but anyway. So the last few years, I've made 2 choices: who I think will win, and then who I think will win the award based on the Academy votes. So a lot of people that I've told in my life that I'm starting this YouTube Oscars channel, they're like, what the heck are you going to talk about? Well, in November and December and January, we will have all kinds of things to talk about because that's when all the movies are coming out, and there's going to be lots of movies to review, performances to review, movies to compare to each other. We can talk about the buzz that's around in the magazines and other movie reviewers. And then, of course, we're rolling into the Oscars in February, so that'll give us a lot to talk about. And then the rest of the year, I'd really like to talk about past wins in past years. So we have almost 100 years of Oscar history that we can review. And I would love to go back in history and choose a year and take a look at the categories for best film or best director and kind of go through those films. And I'd love to find out who's seen which films and if there's anyone that's seen all 5 or 4 or how many ever are in that category. And, I think it'd be interesting because when I look back on nominations and wins, I certainly have not seen every movie. So I always challenge myself to watch additional Oscar nominated films if I can. But I think that being part of this community, almost kind of like a video movie focused book club, is I guess how I'm thinking about it. I'd love to get other people's opinions and suggestions, especially as we are moving into a whole nother Oscar season next year. I would love to hear what you guys think. If you happen to catch an independent film or saw some buzz around the Toronto or some of the other more well-known film festivals. And maybe we can have our own predictions rolling into the year as to performances and pictures that we think might be nominated for next year. So we're a little too late for that this year, but next year I think we could certainly do that. So those are some of the ideas that I have. I'd love to be able to find the rest of my ballots so I can pull those out and we can talk about those. I get these from Entertainment Magazine. So that's where I get this from. There are other sources. And what I will do is we're rolling into this year. I will either find one that's easy to use or I will make one and then I will include it in a link in the YouTube videos or on my channel. So that's kind of my plan there. So we have lots of Oscar history to talk about. There are lots of things that have changed over the years. So lots to talk about. And again, I'd really like to talk a little bit about some of my favorite films and find out about your favorite films. I can certainly name a couple of movies that really impacted me in a very strong way. I'm sure there are other people that have had that very same experience. I was also lucky that in college at one point I got to see a major film, and I don't remember which one it is. You guys will learn this about me. I have a horrible memory. But what the professor did was he removed the music. So the score was missing. So we got to see the same exact movie with the same exact acting, but there was no music. And it was interesting that once he added the music back in and we watched the film again, that you could feel the emotions much more than you could without the music. So the music, of course, is what drives us to experience those emotions and then really kind of relish in the acting and in what we're seeing. So I really enjoyed that experience where I got to listen to a movie with and without the music. So that was kind of something that was impactful in my movie in my own movie history, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I think a lot about those things when I am watching a movie. I think, well, what was the director trying to accomplish in this film? How could they have made it differently? And here's another example of something I found that was absolutely amazing. And I'm going to have to go back and find out where it was. It was either on Netflix or it was on Amazon. It's a documentary. And if somebody can figure it out and knows what I'm talking about and can comment below, that would be awesome. But what they did was they took a story idea, and two independent movie filmmakers made their own version of the film based on that initial story. They were given X number of dollars. They could do with it what they will. They chose their own locations. They chose their own actors, and even took some liberties with the script, and then made a movie that at the end of this documentary, you also got to see both versions. So I thought that was really interesting to see what that movie making process was like, and then how that same story could vary, and then you get the end result. So that was amazing to me as well. And then again, of course, I pay a lot of attention to the music and how that drives the direction of the film. So I'm really excited to go on this movie journey with you guys. I really hope that you are as excited about the Oscars as I am. I know that there's got to be some other Oscar fans out there. And I really, really am looking forward to, let's see, this year, tracking how much I spend and how much time I spend in this, what I call a hobby. So I'll be sure to share that with you. I also want to be able to share information as to where you can watch these movies, because as I mentioned, some of them have been hard to find. And it's not as noticeable to me on these two that I have right here for 2019 and 2018. But in years prior, it was difficult for me to find some films, and I really had to dig as to, okay, where can I go and see this, or how can I pay for it, or can I get it at the library, or is it going to come out in on Netflix or in Redbox before the Oscar awards are given out in February. So I'll be able to share that information with you as well. And that way, if you want to come along on this journey and watch them all, or if it's just something that, you know, it's one movie that you're extremely interested in, or maybe you only want to take on seeing all of the movies that are nominated for Best Picture this year. And then depending on how that goes, you can always add more categories later. No one's saying that you have to watch them all. But yes, so I'll share that information with you on those harder to find films, or films that may not be currently showing at the time that the Oscar awards are going to be on TV. And then I would love to, like I said, when the Oscars are over, the beginning of February, to really launch into talking about past years and reviewing movies and getting your feedback. I'm really interested in that as well. So I think there's lots that we can talk about. I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like I've really said really, really, really too many times. So that's something I'm definitely going to have to work on, because I can hear myself saying it over and over again. So thanks for stopping by my channel. I am looking forward to getting to meet everyone. I'm also going to post a couple of other videos that talk a little bit about more in detail of how I got started in the process with the movie The Artist. I'll tell you a little bit about The Artist and give you some information about where you can go and see it if you have not seen it yet. And I can also tell you about some of my favorite Oscar performances in the last decade. And you can go check those films and premieres or performances as well. So just so that it's really clear, I have absolutely no affiliation with the Academy of Major Motion Pictures. I'm including all of their information below. The Oscars and all of that jazz is certainly all their property. I'm just really trying to get people excited about movies and the awards process, and to really appreciate the performances that we're giving by these actors and actresses, and the directors and producers who make these films possible. So that's really my goal, and what I intend to do with this channel is support movie making in its entirety. So thank you so much for coming with me on the journey. If there's anything that you would like to see in this channel, please list it in the comments below, and give me a thumbs up and let me know that this is something that you're interested in, and so that I know I'm not talking to myself, and that way I will know that this is something that is bringing value to somebody else. All right, so I hope everybody has a great day, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.